Hello and welcome to another review of a film that I've seen on Mubi. This time I'm reviewing Our Bodies Are Your Battlefields, directed by Isabelle Solas. So this is a documentary about trans activists in Argentina, and there's really many things to like about this documentary. It's very informative, and I'm grateful to documentaries like this because it's easy to have opinions on what can be quite controversial issues, but we're really taken into the world of these activists, and we're really shown a glimpse of what their lives are like, and I've actually found it really effective. Nothing is really explained. There's no text, there's no on the screen, there's no voiceovers. We're just thrown into the world, and so it's a little bit confusing at the start, but actually it begins to make sense once you get a grip of who the main characters are. It doesn't really attempt in any way to be impartial. It just, as I say, it just literally throws us into that world. But it's never lecturing or it's never pretentious. It merely puts us there, and we can judge for ourselves. And I really liked that. It reminded me a little bit of Laura Poitras documentaries such as Oath and Citizen4, because it really required trust. The subject trust the filmmaker. The filmmaker is clearly there and very close. The camera's often quite close to the subjects, and as with those Laura Poitras documentaries, I have the feeling with her that she really gets trust from the subjects, and that's one reason why her documentaries are so compelling. And this had something of that quality. Clearly Isabelle Solas has got very close to these women, and it's really, that really gives the documentary an authenticity. There is one difference, I think, between those Laura Poitras documentaries and this one, in the sense that Laura never hides the presence of the camera. Sometimes she speaks. Often the subject is speaking to the camera, and so the presence of the camera is clear. In this film, the presence of the camera is never explicit. It basically, this documentary falls into two styles. The first style is where we're actually just right in the middle of the action at meetings and at demonstrations, and we really are right in the middle. Often the camera is a little bit jerky and we're pushed around as we're in a crowd of people, and that's really effective. I really liked those scenes. The other style of scene is where there's very intimate conversations and the camera is close. Now, the interesting point here is that the camera is never acknowledged, as I say. But what I did notice is that at times the conversations felt very staged. So the camera would be very close to two people speaking, and clearly they would be aware that the camera is there, but it didn't feel quite natural because they were speaking as if it was a fly on the wall style filming, but clearly it wasn't. The filmmaker was very close to the subjects, and over the course of the film, I did feel that this was actually deliberate, because there's one scene on the train with one of the main people in the film, Violetta, is on a train, and it really is like a shot from a film. It's more than just documenting. The way it's shot, it's really dramatic, and it's beautiful cinematography. And so I questioned a little bit through the film what the purpose of this was, whether it was necessary to have the camera so close, but this feeling that some of the conversations were staged. I did find it frustrating at first, but I think in the end I did find the rhythm of the film. As I say, I do feel it was deliberate, and it wouldn't surprise me if some of the conversations were staged, but I think actually that by the end, I quite like the way this is made. There's two main subjects in the film, as I mentioned, Violetta and Claudia, and you really grow to like these two women. And they are very, very committed activists, but what I really loved about them was its activism with grace. These are not victims. Clearly, they are victimized, and we learn some pretty upsetting things about some of their experiences, but they have a grace. And the other thing that I really loved was Claudia's mum. There was some beautiful scenes where Claudia's mum is obviously so accepting of her. The way she looks at Claudia when she's speaking, she's so proud, and it's just beautiful that Claudia seems to have this loving, accepting family, which many of the other people in the documentary don't have that. They've been rejected by their family or suffered violence. In conclusion, I think this was a really informative documentary, but in a really effective way. And I do think in the end, the way it was made, it has an artistic sensitivity with a kind of poetry. And it's something more than just information by the end of the film. So I highly recommend this documentary. It's a real worthwhile watch. Next, I'm going to review The House That Jack Built, directed by Lars von Trier. See you next time.